Last season for the Portland Trail Blazers was unlike any other in at least the last decade. They have been a competitive team in the Western Conference for quite some time now. They made the playoffs for 8 straight years, from 2014 to 2021. The furthest they ever got in those years was when they made it to the Western Conference Finals in 2019, where they got swept by the Golden State Warriors. This team finished last season with a 27-55 record, their worst record in nearly 2 decades. And now they face an uphill climb in the Western Conference. Everything that could have gone wrong for the Blazers did go wrong. Portland went through injuries, big trades, and a transition into tanking. There were times you could barely recognize some of the players on the floor for the Blazers. This team went from aspirations for a conference finals appearance to picking in the top 10 in the NBA draft. The most significant news of the season for the franchise was Damian Lillard not returning from his injury. The veteran guard continued to recover from abdominal surgery, but the way the season was going for the team, it was best for the team to just shut him down for the season and allow him to fully recover from that injury. They weren't pushing for the playoffs, and they ended up trading away a lot of key players before the trade deadline. Even before they were traded, CJ McCollum and Larry Nance Jr. had already missed large parts of the season with injuries. And later on, players like Norman Powell and Robert Covington were also gone. Out of all the players that got traded last year, the CJ McCollum trade is the one that affected Dame the most. That was his sidekick since 2014, the guy that took the pressure off him from time to time and could even take over games. Earlier this year, Dame expressed his feelings about the trade on Draymond Green's podcast.
Tough to deal with, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Like, when you know something could be coming and you know that it's a possibility, but when it happened, it's different. Like, damn.
Absolutely.
Like, and I kind of been stuck in that space the whole time. Like, I've been watching every game in New Orleans. Like, damn, like he really ain't coming back. It's over. So that's kind of where I've been at. I still kind of haven't even really moved past it because I ain't had to play. So,
yeah.
Like, when I ain't had to get on the court and he ain't on the team no more, it's like, it probably take a little bit longer to be like, man, it's really over, So, the end of an era, bro.
Rumors surrounding Dame's future in Portland has always been one of the topics of discussion in the last couple of years. And after those trades were made last year, most fans anticipated that Dame would be next in line. So many fans want him to move on from Portland for a better chance at competing for an NBA championship. But despite those speculation of him moving on, it doesn't appear that Dame will be going anywhere anytime soon. Not only was he already under contract through 2025, but he recently signed a 2-year, $121 million contract extension that keeps him in the Portland Trail Blazers uniform through 2027. He's going to have a player option worth $63 million in the final year of that contract. There were a lot of possibilities for the Blazers to improve their roster going into the offseason. They had a lot of options to create a lot of cap space with unguaranteed contracts of players like Eric Bledsoe and Josh Hart. And they also had the option of using that top 10 pick in the trade to get a star player back in return. But to be honest, the moves that were made by the Blazers this past offseason was very underwhelming. It's hard to really say if this team is better than last year's team going into the season, when they had CJ, Larry Nance, Covington, and Powell on the team. The first move they made in the offseason was trading for Detroit Pistons forward Jeremy Grant. Spending the last 2 years in Detroit, Grant really showed he could be a reliable scoring option for a good team. In 101 total games with the Pistons, Grant averaged around 21 points and shot 42% from the floor. The Blazers have been pretty bad on defense overall in the last couple of years. Getting better defensively was obviously a point of emphasis for this team in free agency. They ranked dead last in the league this past season in defensive rating. So finding ways to improve on that end of the floor was vital. Another addition that will impact the defensive side of the ball is the signing of NBA champion Gary Payton Ii. Portland signed GP to a 3-year, $28 million deal. After trying to prove himself for so long, going from team to team, his hard work and perseverance finally paid off, with not only him winning a championship in Golden State, but finally getting paid and securing a long-term deal. He finally got the bag. GP has proven to be an elite level defensive player, and that's exactly what the Trailblazers have been missing for years. The next significant moves the team made was bringing some players back. Anthony Simons and Jusuf Nurkic. Portland spent around $107 million in total between these two players. Both Simons and Nurkic returned to Portland on 4-year deals, solidifying the team's core moving forward around Damian Lillard. But nobody flourished more in Dame's absence than Anthony Simons. He scored 20 or more points in 17 games, including 43 points against the Atlanta Hawks on January 3rd. And he also had a 38-point performance against the Minnesota Timberwolves on March 5th. He shot 40% from 3 and 44% from the field. Nurkic has been a solid big man for quite some time now. Although he's never been quite an all-star level player, he does bring a lot to the table. His three-point shot has never been consistent, but his scoring, rebounding, and defense has always been steady. Josh Hart was a player that the Blazers never wanted to get rid of. The only reason they would have considered it if they would have needed the cap space to land a proven star. Hart came to the Blazers in a trade that sent CJ McCollum to the New Orleans Pelicans. He started 13 games for the Blazers, averaging around 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, while shooting 50% from the field and 37 from 3. He scored a career-high 44 points in a win against the Washington Wizards on March 12th. To round out the roster, you have Justice Winslow, who has never really been able to stay healthy, Nasir Little, who is coming off core muscle surgery, Trenton Walford, Keon Johnson, and rookie Shaedon Sharpe. While they will be better than their 27-55 record from a season ago, but just how good do people expect this team to be? It's hard to envision the Blazers winning more than 30 games. And when you have a star like Damian Lillard on your team, if you're not seriously contending for a championship, why not entertain moving him and just start all over? I don't believe this team has any chance to even compete for a spot in the play-in tournament, but it is what it is. The biggest factor for the Blazers going into this season will be whether or not these role players are good enough to give this team a fighting chance. With how competitive the Western Conference is going to be, and you have teams that did not make the playoffs last season, like the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Kings, who are all expected to be in the playoff hunt, Portland is going to have their work cut out for them. I have the Trailblazers finishing in the 11th place with a 30-52 record. This team has decided to keep their 33-year-old franchise player for the foreseeable future, and many people are asking, is that a good thing or a bad thing? They should be better than last year's team. I mean, at one point this team was unrecognizable late in the year compared to the roster in training camp. Blazers made some good moves in the offseason, but it wasn't nearly enough to truly compete in the Western Conference. Maybe after another disappointing season, the franchise will seriously consider parting ways with Damian Lillard, and it'll be a long time coming.